Okay, so coming into our centering for our throat chakra restorative class today, I'm going to encourage you to take any comfortable seated position that feels good for you today. So that could be an easy seated pose like so. If you want to sit on a block or a pillow to help raise your hips, go ahead and do that. If you prefer to do any other shape, whether it's lying down on your belly, lying down on your back, seated in a chair, seated with your reclining up against a wall, anything that fits for you, go ahead and take that. And just for the next few minutes, next few seconds, just notice what you feel when you come to that body awareness place. Maybe there's places where you feel like just getting some wiggles out would be helpful so that when you get into centering, you feel better able to have that calm sense in the body and bring that calm sense to the mind, breath, and energy. So it could be wiggling out the fingers, shoulders, adjusting the legs, anything that it takes for you. And then eventually settling the body into as much stillness as feels good for you. You can either close your eyes or just rest your gaze down on the floor in front of you as you bring your attention now to your breath, just noticing your breath, which may be the first time you've noticed it today, and that's fine. Let's take this time now and check in. Where do you feel the breath? How do you feel the breath? How is it moving through the body? Is there any areas, either chest, ribs, shoulders, belly, anywhere where you feel like perhaps that area of the body is constricting the breath? On an exhale, is it possible to bring just a little bit more softness to that area of the body? And then, if it's comfortable for you, this could be an opportunity to start to lengthen the inhale, just maybe a count or two longer. And then let that flow into an extended exhale. Maybe taking the exhale 1, 2, or 3 counts longer than the inhale. And as you keep the breath flowing, and as you keep stillness in the body, we'll add another component, which is your mental and emotional state. Maybe the quantity and quality of your thoughts, or the quality of your mind, how it's processing things, could be foggy, could be chaotic. Doesn't matter, we don't need to judge it. It's just noticing, offering it some attention, some grace. And same with the emotions. Maybe we feel a little bit stressed with the weather, or maybe the workday was difficult in its unusual state, or anything that might be coming to you. Just notice. And notice if there's pockets, either mentally, emotionally, or physically, where you can again Release tension on the exhale. Just let it go a little bit at a time. Going with 2 to 3 more cycles of breath, using each cycle of breath to find just a bit of a deeper sense of either calmness, settledness, grace for yourself, whatever it may be that you need. And then inhaling to prepare. Full exhale to blink the eyes open. Going to do just a bit of a breath practice before we move into a physical practice. And with the breath practice, the prana practice, I'm going to also offer a mudra if you're interested in trying it. So hopefully this will translate well enough on the screen. You're going to take 3 fingers from middle, ring, and pinky finger, each hand, and interlace them together so that they'll be, as you interlace them, and then kind of tip your hands together, those fingers will be tucked down inside the palms. And then you're going to take the thumb and index finger and make rings. So you're touching same thumb, same index finger to each other, and those rings are interconnected. And then you can rest either holding it with the arms more at elbow level, or if you feel comfortable, bringing the hands more to that throat chakra area. And our throat energy center is connected to our communication. So it's both what we speak, how we speak in verbal or nonverbal, as well as what we hear and how we hear it and what we listen to. So the breath practice that I'm going to offer today is called Brahmari breath. It is bumblebee breath. And again, hopefully with the audio system being electronic, you'll be able to hear, but essentially I'll describe it first and then we can practice together. It's an inhale through the nose, sipping the air in a lengthened inhale. On the exhale, the lips are lightly sealed and you make a low, deep humming noise at the base of your throat, essentially as if you're trying to mimic the sound of a bumblebee. We'll do 5 rounds. If you can hear my humming over the audio, then go ahead and regardless of my pace, still follow your own pace with inhales and exhales. So we'll take a collective inhale together to start. And then the exhale is the humming noise. Keep going at your pace for 3 more rounds, noticing where you feel the vibration of your humming. Really tune into that physical sensation of vibration, either at your lips, your throat, your ears, maybe even your fingertips. And we'll finish with one more. Lengthen inhale here. Exhale to gently, slowly release the hands, release the mudra, and bring the hands open. Moving into a different physical shape. If you want to stay in the same leg position in your seated shape that you're in, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and adjust it just because we've already been there for about 10 minutes. So in order to let the blood and prana flow thoroughly through the different joints, I'm going to extend my legs out. You could also choose to raise yourself up on a block or bring the bottoms of the feet together, whatever would work for you. We're going to plant our hands either on your thighs or on the floor next to your hips. Taking an inhale here. Exhale, gently lower the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Start to notice where you might feel any pulling. So it could be that you just kind of need to gently, slowly rock the chin forward and back a little bit, because typically there's one or two, maybe for me today, 3 or 4 areas on the left side of the neck that are going to feel a little bit stickier than other areas. You want to try to focus on an area that you feel a sensation, a physical sensation that isn't going to take your breath away, but enough where you can start to breathe into that space, exhaling a little bit of tension away from the space with each cycle of breath, and start to bring some softness and spaceness to that area. Again, we won't hold this for the typical 2 to 4 or 5 breaths, just because those muscles of the neck are smaller. So we'll be a little bit more gentle with them. Before we move on, if you notice that really where you've been holding, there's not much tension there anymore, one other option is to take that left hand, reach the fingertips back behind towards your tailbone, or perhaps even reaching it around your back waist and finding the right elbow if that feels right in your shoulder. And then now we'll just hold for about 30 more seconds here. Your exhale allows the left hand to release back to the left thigh. And then let's take that chin, circle it down until the chin comes down towards the chest. Right hand comes to the thigh. Notice what and where and how you feel, especially around the area of the neck and throat. Starting to bring those neck movements a little bit bigger. So tracing the chin along the right collarbone to the right shoulder, exhaling that back down to center, inhaling the chin along the left collarbone to the left shoulder, exhaling back down to center. Now this time inhaling up to the right shoulder, hold it up, and then bring the chin across to center, head upright. Exhale the chin over to the left shoulder and circle it down. Do that one more time. Inhaling up to the right, across, center, and upright, and exhaling to the left. Once you get the chin towards the center of the chest, now we're going to reverse that, inhaling the chin up the left collarbone, head upright and center, Exhaling the chin, the right side and down. One more circle. Inhaling to the left. And then exhaling over to the right and down. Inhaling back up to center. Exhale, allow that ear to come over towards the left shoulder. And then again, just gentle tilting of the chin forward and back, up and down, noticing now on this side what you feel. Hands can stay right where you have them, or you can release the hands down to the floor if that's better. Better just in the form of how it feels in your body, the level of sensation that you feel. Now, once you've identified that area or the couple areas that are the stickiest, go ahead and hold it there and breathe. Sometimes we feel that holding these postures, especially when we're focusing on these smaller parts of the body that perhaps maybe it's not impacting us quite as much as, let's say, some big impressive movement. The thing is there's these lymph nodes across our neck. There's all of the flow of the central nervous system and the signals it's sending from this brain to the body. And then, of course, the flow of the blood and prana. That if we don't focus on these areas every once in a while, all of that has a little less traction in its mobility. And then before we move on this side, taking that right hand, if you would like, depending on how it feels on this side, maybe you take it around to the tailbone, maybe you bring that right hand to reach across the back waist and find the left elbow. And then notice where the sensation might flow, still in the neck, but also finding some spots in the shoulder. Lengthen inhale here. Gentle exhale to release that right hand. And then draw the chin down to the center of the chest. Small movement side to side. Same thing as the other time. We're going to inhale, chin draws a line up to the left shoulder. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale, draw up the right collarbone to the right shoulder. Exhale to center. One more time each side. Inhale, draw the chin up, head upright, and then some gentle shoulder rolls. Drawing the shoulders forward, up, back, and down, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Reversing it, shoulders back, up, front, and down. And then eventually holding them in stillness. And then just check in and notice, maybe even moving chin side to side if you would like to physically check. Notice if it feels like there's just a little bit more spaciousness, release, softness in the neck, maybe even in the jaw and tongue. And if that's your case, take a lengthened inhale, and a tiny bit of a celebratory exhale. All right. If you haven't at this point yet, go ahead and extend the legs long, this time bringing the legs out in front of you. Taking an inhale, draw the sternum just energetically up towards the chin. You might not make any other movement in your body itself, but just that energetic feeling of the shoulder blades and back moving down towards the back waist and the sternum lifting towards the chin. Chin stays parallel to the floor to start. And then exhale, draw the chin back as if you're trying to make a double chin, as if you're trying to be a turtle with its neck and head pulling into its shell. And then inhale and release, and do that again. Draw back. Inhale and release. One more time, draw it back. Inhale and release. Take an inhale, draw the gaze up towards the ceiling, and now everybody's cervical spine is going to feel and be a little bit different. So you're only going to extend that neck, the cervical spine, as much as your body is telling you is safe for you right now at this moment. So if it is comfortable for you to draw the chin all the way up to point at the ceiling, go ahead and do so. For me today, that's not comfortable. I'm going to stay here just for a breath. Exhale, draw the chin back. And then on an inhale, lower the chin towards the chest. So this is now with the chin down, and then draw it back as if you're making yourself into a turtle again. This is where we're going to start to play around with that sensation of that throat chakra bandha being locked. So it's an Jalandhara bandha. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, keeping the rest of the spine lengthened, start to draw the torso towards the legs. And once you find that little bit of a sticking spot for your hamstring, low back, whatever it may be, you're going to just pause there, but at the same time, keep that same motion in the neck for now. Now, as we hold this for a moment or two, if you want to start layering props on top of your thighs, go ahead and take this time to do that. I feel like I would like a little bit of support. So as now I feel some softening in those soft tissues, my body is saying, okay, we can go a little bit further, and go ahead and release it down. So I'm going to keep that same chin lock, have a support for my chest and torso, and then eventually just lower my forehead down so that it is supported either by your props or stacked hands, whatever it may be for you. And then return to your breath. Clarifying too that if holding that chin in that turtle form has become an area of tension for you, we want to reduce that. So go ahead, release it if you feel that you're building tension into the body by trying to hold any specific shape or form for a certain amount of time. And slowly taking an inhale to let the head float up. And using the hands to allow that torso to come up slowly, giving all of those soft tissues plenty of time to respond. Moving any props that you may have on your legs over to the side. We're going to draw the legs around. We're going to come to our knees in any way that makes sense to you. So swinging the legs around. And then I'm going to offer a couple different variations to start so you are able to choose what works best for you. Now, I'm going to cue sitting back on your heels. If you have any sort of yoga block or small pillow or a rolled up towel, you can slide that between your ankles so that as you sit back, there's less pressure on your feet and ankles as you get there. Just an option. And then taking an inhale, we're going to again think about drawing the shoulders, shoulder blades down and back, sternum energetically lifting towards the chin. Now notice as you do that, if you're like really pushing the chest forward and those bottom front ribs are popping out and in, just gently remind them to slide back down and in. We're not trying to get an overextension of the spine in the back. And then from there, if it's comfortable in your shoulders, you're going to draw your hands back around behind you, interlace your fingers together, and then pull the knuckles down towards the floor as you move the shoulders open in the front. Gaze can stay right directly in front of you. If it feels better for you to drop the gaze down and lower the chin towards the chest and notice the sensation on the back of the neck, that's an option. Or another option is to bring the gaze up towards the ceiling, drawing the chin up and coming into a bit of an extension on the cervical spine. Any of those variations that fits best for you will hold here and breathe for about 3 to 4 more cycles. And then taking a lengthened inhale. If you feel like it is time to release the interlaced fingers, or if you have any sort of strap or prop that you're holding back behind you between your hands, you can go ahead and release them. Otherwise, if you are still feeling like the sensation in the shoulders is comfortable enough for you to sustain without building tension, then interlace your fingers the opposite direction in the way that feels more awkward. Take an inhale here, and then whether your fingers are interlaced or not, on an exhale, we'll start to draw the chest and torso down towards the legs, any amount. And then once you're there, if you notice that there's quite a distance between the forehead and the floor, so your head's just dangling, this would be a good place to draw a prop underneath the head so that the head is supported and the back of the neck is not just dangling. And then the arms and hands either can stay resting at the tailbone, or if you want a little bit more of an energetic feel, you can draw the hands away from the tailbone, lengthen the arms up towards the ceiling, and then resume your breath. Taking 2 more cycles of breath here. And then an exhale. If your hands are interlaced, close those hands to melt down. And then we'll all draw our hands closer to our legs so that on the next inhale, you can use the arms to support the lift of the torso. Inhaling to move yourself up off of your heels or your prop. Props over to the side just for a moment. We'll use them again in a little bit. And take an inhale. We'll just do a couple rounds of cat-cow. Again, this time really focusing and noticing what happens on the angry cat when you tuck the chin, the length along the back of the neck. And inhaling into cow, the length along the front of the throat. One more. Full extension. Into full flexion. All right, so making sure you have enough space in front of you so that you can extend the arms long if that's where you're going to go. We're going to move into puppy pose. If you know where you're going, go ahead and take that right now. Otherwise, you're going to keep the hips lifted off the legs and feet. Start to slide the hands forward, extending the arms long, and then lowering either the forehead, or for some folks, if your shoulder mobility and neck and all are fine, another variation of puppy pose is drawing the chin through the floor. So you're really extending the front of that throat, which is quite intense and not a fit for most of us. So if not, then drawing your forehead down. Now, once you're there, notice the sensation across the upper back, shoulders, armpit, even the neck and throat. And if it feels like this is really way more sensation than is going to be comfortable to hold for a while, especially in the shoulders, go ahead and draw the hands back either towards the head or elbows towards the knees. And then third and final variation that I'll offer for right now before silence is go ahead and put a prop underneath your chest and torso, if that still allows your forehead to reach the floor in a comfortable manner. And then we'll breathe here. Taking a lengthened inhale. Allow that inhale and exhale to start to draw those hands again closer to the shoulders. And then inhaling to float the forehead away from the floor. Start to lift the torso up. Coming back to hands and knees. Sliding your props again out of your way. Now extend the legs long. Actually, I'm going to use this blanket here for some softness. And extend the legs long behind you, coming all the way down onto your belly. Lowering yourself down in any way that makes sense. And then from here, we're going to focus again, this time turning the chin first to the right. So I have my hands stacked like pancakes, lowering the side of the left side of the head down to the top of the hands, and then chin over to the right shoulder. Now, if for whatever reason this isn't comfortable for you, other variations are to just move the hands out of the way, left side of the head all the way down to the floor. Another variation might be that it feels better for you to lift the chest, maybe bring the forearms and elbows a little closer, and then lower down. If none of those feel good, this is also an option to do seated. And you would bring bottoms of the feet to the floor, knees up, rest the forearms on the thighs, and then just turn the chin towards the right and rest the left side of the head on. Go ahead and find whichever variation is working best for you right now. Find your breath. As you breathe, focusing on that throat chakra, paying attention to some of the stories that might be in your mind right now. So it could be something along the lines of narratives, self-talk that tend to be a common occurrence for you that aren't serving you. And that is part of this throat chakra, part of the communication internally, and then what we portray externally. Notice if you can shift and maybe bring in affirmations like, I know my truth. I trust my truth. I will speak my truth. I can speak confidently and know my worth. I will listen to others' truths. I will validate what I hear from others' experiences. I will listen with love and I will speak with love. Take another inhale. And then as you exhale, let a little tension out. On your next inhale, gently, slowly, let the head float up. And then as you exhale, turn the chin over to the left and gently lower the right side of the head, either to your hands to the floor or however you're situated. Notice if it feels different from the right side to the left side. And then we'll hold this just for another minute or two as we consider the fact that all of our lower three energy centers, the base energy center, which supports our sense of stability, security, and safety, our sacral energy center, which is our sense of self, self-worth, our solar plexus energy center, which is our courage and our strength and our power, all of those play into how we're able to communicate and how we're able to take in others' communication, as well as the heart chakra being the center for love. If we base our communications from a sense of safety and security, knowing our self-worth, and having courage and speaking through love, that will be how our communication will go out into the world. Gently and slowly, again on an inhale, we're going to let the head float up. And then this time, you're going to roll yourself all the way over onto your back. Just flipping right over like a pancake. When you are all the way down on your back, notice the sensation of all of the muscles on the back side of the body being supported, being able to release, let go, and not have to hold you up. Also notice what happens as you try to bring a little bit more length to the back of the neck, maybe even tucking that chin towards the chest a bit. If you do that and you notice that right away there's more tension in the jaw or the tongue is pressing to the top of the roof or against the teeth, and let the chin just release, bring more softness and release of tension to the jaw, tongue, and neck. And then taking an inhale, we're going to draw that left foot to the floor, knee up towards the ceiling. And then your right leg is going to cross over it as if you're sitting cross-legged in a chair. If this doesn't feel right in your hips or knees for whatever reason, you can always just cross the ankle over the knee. Another variation could be to keep the left leg extended and just cross the legs at the ankles. And then drawing the arms up in front of you, you're going to cross the left elbow on top of the right elbow as if you're making the letter X. From there, one variation is to bring the hands to the opposite shoulders. Another variation is to bring the backs of the hands together and let the hands rest at the third eye or the forehead. Third variation, bring the palms together. So you're interweaving the forearms and bringing the palms together. And then from there, let one of the knuckles rest at the third eye. So we're in a variation of reclined eagle pose. You're welcome to keep the legs right where they are. Or taking an inhale to prepare. On an exhale, you're going to press into the left foot, shift the hips over to the right, and then let the knees fall over to the left. Now, if you're doing this and the hands and arms just feel all wonky, either don't bring the twist in, bring the knees back up to the ceiling, or bring the hands to the shoulders, or release the arms altogether. So any variation, if you really want to focus on the twist, then go ahead and release the arms. If you don't need the twist, then bring the knees back up to the ceiling. And then breathe. And if you are in the twist, one suggestion I would bring in is to draw the chin over to the right shoulder. Take 2 to 3 more cycles of breath here. And then whichever variation you're in for any of the body parts, we're going to meet everybody back at center with both feet flat on the floor, knees up to the ceiling, hips and pelvis centered, flat on the floor, arms alongside the body. Might feel good to windshield wiper the knees side to side. And then repeating on the other side. So the right foot is on the floor, right knee up to the ceiling, crossing the left leg or ankle over the right knee or at the right ankle. Notice how it feels on this side compared to the first side and adjust. Doesn't have to be exactly the same as what you did on the first side, especially if your body's asking for a switch. Then drawing the arms up. This time you're going to cross the right elbow on top of the left. And then from there, all those same arm variations. So either draw the hands to opposite shoulders or take any intertwining variation of the hands that work for you. Inhaling to press into the right foot, shift the hips to the left, and then exhale to draw the knees over to the right if you're choosing to come into the twist on this side. If you don't want the twist, don't take it. And then once we've held for a few breaths, if you want to adjust anything with legs or arms, please do so. And then an inhale, we'll start to move out of this again. Everybody just finding their way back to feet flat on the floor, knees up to the ceiling, hips centered and pelvis flat. Chin up towards the ceiling. Then a few breaths to windshield wiper the knees, release any tension from the hips that might have built out from the twist or the cross. Bringing stillness to the knees. If you have access to grab any of your props, we're going to go into a supported bridge pose. So that could be a yoga block. It could be a folded or rolled up blanket. It might be a firm pillow, anything that you might have, or even a large, thick book. That works too. Drawing the heels closer to your seat as much as your hamstring, hips, knees, and low back are happy with. Take an inhale to push into the bottoms of the feet. Exhale to press the low back down to the floor, imprinting the base spine on the floor. And then as you inhale, float the hips up. Take whichever prop you've chosen, slide it underneath the bony plate of the sacrum. Rest the sacrum and pelvis down on your prop. And then release the arms down. Now, if you start at a certain level and after holding it for a few seconds, there's sensations that don't feel comfortable, go ahead and either remove, reduce the prop, or release it altogether. Also, notice what's happening at the throat and the neck, and bring your attention back to your breath. We're going to move from here into your variation of a final resting pose. So if you want to take your final rest in the supported bridge pose and that feels comfortable for you to hold for another 4 to 5 minutes, that's an option. If you want to hang out here for maybe another minute or so and then move into a different variation, go ahead and do so. If you're ready to move on now, you're going to remove the prop, reduce the hips, lower the hips back down to the floor. And then from there, you have any variation of what feels fully supported and restful for you, either an extension down on your back, supine shavasana, roll back over to your belly, or a fetal pose on either side or seated in a chair. Go ahead, move at your pace as you wish, if you wish. Getting yourself settled into your final resting pose. Bringing to mind again any of the supports for that throat chakra that can help to balance it with our attention and intention, keeping that throat area secure and supported. So it could be any of those affirmations that I offered mid-class. It might be focusing on the color blue. As you inhale, imagining the color blue filling you. As you exhale, let that color release tension out of the body. It might also be just imagining your breath passing the throat and feeling the vibration at your throat. Settling in. Start to lengthen the inhale, deepen the exhale. Maybe even taking a lengthened inhale and an open mouth exhale with an audible sigh. Doing that again. Small movements, fingers and toes, wrists and ankles, knees, elbows, hips, and shoulders. You would like to, a long full body stretch, reaching the arms over the head, pointing the toes away from you, waking the body up. And then an exhale to either roll over to your side and pause, or roll up to seated, coming to a seated pose in any way that makes sense for you. As you get there, settle in a comfortable seated position. Bringing the hands either back to that mudra that we did at the beginning, bottom three fingers interlaced towards the palms, index finger and thumbs, creating those interlocking rings, holding it at the throat. Or you can come right into hands at the chest, or you can leave the hands on the legs. And then bring to mind the fact that when we practice, as we did today, that it helps to integrate the lifestyle of yoga into something more than just an hour on the mat doing a workout. Instead, integrating characteristics of who we want to be, how we want to show up, and how we want to support others in this world. Moment of gratitude to those in India that discovered the practice that we benefited from today. Lengthen inhale through the nose. Exhale to lower the chin to the chest. Om Shanti, peace. Thank you so much.